Some people feel that I can be a bit too wordy in my cigar reviews. Hell, some people feel that I can be too wordy just in general. So, to save y'all some time, I'm going to keep today's cigar review as short and sweet as possible. It's been a while since I last reviewed a Warped cigar. I believe the last time I smoked and reviewed one for Claro was back in autumn of last year. And the stick today is one that I've never reviewed before. So this should be a good one for those of you who, like myself, appreciate a very spicy corojo. The Serie Gran Reserva 1988 by Warped Cigars is a Nicaraguan puro through and through. All of the tobacco contained within it comes from Aganorsa Leaf Farms, which is true to style for the Warped brand. This particular Vitola is the Robusto, so 5¼ inches long by the 50 ring gauge. The wrapper on it is a Corojo 99 Nicaraguan wrapper with a nice little Colorado sheen to it. And all filler and binders are Nicaraguan as well, but are a little bit of a mystery. Presumably sun-grown, of course, even though they do shade-grown Corojo wrappers on occasion. Check it out, though. Very, very, very tightly packed cigar. There's pretty much almost no spring to it whatsoever. So the first one I smoked was a little bit of a tough start, so I'm curious to see if the pull on this will pull through true. Whereas the barrel of the cigar does have a lot of that familiar Corojo spicy lightness to it. Again, definitely not a very dark smelling cigar or looking cigar at that matter. The foot of it does have some rich, almost brewer malts smell to it, and not fresh kilned malts or anything like that. I'm talking more of the syrups and the powdered concentrate that home brewers use when they first start off, the extracts and whatnot. It gives it kind of a nice little toffee-like smell, almost borderline burnt smelling, but not unpleasantly bitter either. And it's sweet, a very, very sweet smelling foot to this cigar. But time's a wasting. We got a storm on the way, so let's get to it, shall we? They ain't littering if it's all tobacco, right? It's just leaves after all. Cold pulls from the foot are very figgy. Yeah. Woo, sweet too. Still some Corojo unlit spice, which is to be expected, but woo, yeah, spicy. Wow. White and black pepper, perhaps a little red thrown in for good measure. Even unlit, the sucker is spicy. Remember, Garrett's gonna need some beverage to be able to make this thing happen. The start of this cigar definitely kicks you in with some spice. There is no hesitating there. It's all Corojo forward at the beginning with more black and red pepper than white pepper. It's a fiery start for sure. But there is that, again, a toffee-like sweetness behind it, as well as a whole bunch of cedar. So a good beginning for those who like a fierier smoke. Yeah, that spice is starting to die back a bit as the first third heats up and becomes more round. I'm not getting it so much on the palate like it did at first. It's more just retrohale at this point. You do get a little bit of pepper, but it's really just very good in the sense that the cedar takes over the spice, and it's sweet cedar. We're not talking dry aged cedar here. We got some really fresh, sappy stuff going on here, and there is a little bit of that toffee like caramelized sugar burnt flavor to it, which again, not char, just a little bit of caramelization going on. I like a lot. And like the other stick that I smoked a couple months back, the construction right out the gate has been pretty nice. A little wavy on this side right now, but just nice white looking ash. As Steve Saka of Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust once said in an interview, you know you've got a really good cigar in your hands if it makes you salivate. And this cigar is just making me drool with every puff, and not just from the spice. The first third of this cigar is starting to get to the point where the second third begins. And as it caps out and pivots toward that point of flavor transition that you usually get in cigars, there is a floral note to the cigar. Aromatically, just by standing next to the damn thing and smelling it, but also from the flavor profile, what you taste and exhale through your nose, retrohale wise. It's not full-blown potpourri floral or spice, but it is that kind of that kind of floral aroma that you do get from dried flowers. It's nothing super prominent. We're not talking full bouquet here, but with the cedar and the nuttiness and the spice behind it and that little bit of toffee-like sweetness, I'll take it. Halfway in, and those sweet malt extract flavors really move forth and take over. You still got spice in the background, but it's almost like that. If you ever brewed beer before and used an extract, it's like a lighter Maris Otter like malt. Nothing darkly kilned or anything, just that sweet powdery stuff. So for those who haven't brewed beer, think of malted milk, for instance. It's good. It's a nice little sweetness to balance out the spice. The cedar is still definitely there, and it's still very floral at the halfway point. Spice, though, is building again. So as we get through the halfway point and the second third and into the final third, get a feeling that spice is going to be back, and not in a bad way either. Talking Corojo 99 here, so Aganorsa Leaf crops are always good for that. The final third of this cigar is my favorite part, actually. It was true with the first stick, it's true with this one as well. Just the sweetness, that maltiness, it just builds, and it really gets a little oily on the palate. The body, which has been medium for the most part throughout, bumps up to medium full. The spice levels kind of mellow out and reach a balance with that sweetness, and all the aromatics and floral notes really just pop. And while I did have to do a touch up just a little bit before the halfway mark on the cigar, it's burned pretty nicely. However, here approaching the final third, ooh, we're getting that same uneven shoveling going on that one side. So it'll need another touch up here in a sec. But outside of needing, well, from looks of it, 2 touch ups, this cigar has just burned very nicely throughout. And thus far, it's been its only downfall. Final third flavors at their peak are interesting because that sweet cedar flavor that has been prominent from day one is turned into more of a dried cedar flavor, combusted cedar. So imagine, burning the cedar spill, if you ever lit a cigar with a cedar spill, and how that smells. And the sweetness on the cigar has gone from it being more of a bit of a maltier malt extract flavor and a little bit more robust and rich, to a little fainter and more of a cereal grain like sweetness, and cereal grain to the point where it almost actually tastes like a sweetened cereal. There's a tartness to it also that's there. It reminds me a little bit of Applejack cereal, for those who've ever had Applejack cereal. Not as sweet as that, but that kind of flavor, that grain, little cinnamon, little bit of apple thrown in all together. Good stuff, actually. That's a profile you don't get all that often. Downsides to the cigar, though, are primarily construction oriented. Had to do 2 touch-ups. It ran a little bit hot here and there, and well, flavor as well seemed to waver here and there. Where it was really intense one puff and very vibrant, the next pull on it would be a bit more subdued, and then after a couple of puffs it would suddenly jump back to right where it was. So there was some inconsistencies here and there throughout the duration of the smoke. But that's not always a bad thing. It keeps it interesting, and the transitions on it were good. It's spicy, but not overbearing, save for the beginning. The beginning on this is definitely very stout for the first, 10 or 12 puffs on it. But outside of that, it's very manageable for the average medium full cigar smoker and fans of spicier corojos. It's got this nice aftertaste too that, yeah, I just can't get over. I really like the way it tastes while smoking and afterward. And I'm thinking that it's going to be one of my go-tos as I move forward. I want to smoke the Futuro 109 again to compare the two. But for now, 4.5 out of 5 will do for the 1988. So I'm going to keep puffing, though, because I got to get into the parting puff section of the smoke. Woo! Oh, yeah. Parting puffs on this cigar are intense, just like the beginning. It's still smooth, but very, very full right now. And it will continue to be so, I presume. So, fair warning on the parting puffs portion of this smoke. Still a 4.5 out of 5 cigar, but fair warning. You got to have a refreshing beverage handy if you're going to smoke this one down to the nub like I'm doing. Anyhow, catch you guys in the next review. Cheers.